So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the cold outreach system that we use for clients here at ScaleSprint. And for context, I've sent over 10 million cold emails, and I'm one of the certified experts of Instantly.ai. So I've been in the game for a long time. I've seen all the different ways of setting up cold outreach systems, and this whole flow here is going to be the most optimal way to do this. And if you have a good offer and you follow each of these steps here very thoroughly, then it's going to be very difficult for you not to book at least 2 to 3 calls per day with cold outreach. So let's get into how this works. Now, we have two main channels here in the top that are going to be generating the top of funnel interest, and it's cold email and LinkedIn outreach. So cold email is going to be the main driver of traffic, mainly because LinkedIn outreach is a bit limited in its effectiveness because there are just restrictions on LinkedIn. But the thing is, if you can get a good conversion rate on LinkedIn, even if you from your own account can book call it 2 to 3 meetings per month or something, even if that's the case, you know that LinkedIn can potentially be scalable. And then you can go into things like rented accounts, right? You can rent like 10 different accounts and just run the same copies and just have them be like employees of your company on LinkedIn. And then you can suddenly 10x the amount of meetings you're getting on LinkedIn just by doing that. So LinkedIn can be a very powerful channel, but just as a start, cold email is typically better and more scalable and just better to A/B test on there. But we of course run both channels for clients. So that's basically the starting point here are these two channels. Now the next thing here is basically I've just listed out the different call to actions that you can have in the funnel. So if you have a really strong offer, you can justify having a direct book a call to action. So just saying, hey, do you want to hop on a call? Now this is going to be difficult for more saturated or commoditized offers because people are not going to take that risk of committing time if they don't see how you're really differentiated. So you need to have a strong offer or really strong social proof before you do this. Otherwise, I would not recommend it. Now, the other one here is a lead magnet, which is a better idea if you have again issues with your offer being somewhat saturated, and you might actually have differentiating factors, but the prospects just don't know that based off the cold email. So it's better to have a lead magnet. And then what you can always do is and I'm going to get into this, is just go super, super hard on appointment setting once you actually send over these lead magnets to people. The third one is an interest-based call to action, and this also works well in some cases where you just say, "Are you interested in learning more?" And then you take it from there. So that is basically the first step here. Now, once we get a positive response for any of these call to actions I've mentioned here, the first thing is just importing this lead into your CRM and then marking them as qualified or not qualified, so you can keep track of that in your funnel, see how many of the leads you're generating that are actually qualified, so you can have that as a percentage here because you want to really track your KPIs clearly so you know what's going on in the funnel. The next thing here is to respond to people as fast as possible. And some of the ways you can do that is with the subsequence. So one example is you can say reply yes, and I'll send over more information, and then you set up a subsequence that triggers once that word yes is mentioned in the prospect's email, so that will fire immediately. You can also have an AI inbox manager. Typically, AI inbox managers will respond within 5 minutes, and you can also just have a dedicated appointment setter that's just sitting there and ready to go. So once you have responded to them on email, you also want to push their information to clay.com, or sometimes we just use Prospeo for this purpose, and then we enrich this lead with their mobile number, and then from there you can also call this lead as well. So you're responding to them quickly here, and you're also calling the lead as well. So this is going to have a super high conversion. The next thing is a really aggressive post-reply sequence. So ideally, you want to just hammer them from multiple channels immediately once they show interest. So you want to follow up on email here. The day after, you want to re-pitch the call, reaffirm the value of the call, and you really want to stress what's in it for them, because this is what they need to know. If they haven't booked yet at this point after your response, it's because they don't know what's in it for them. And then after that, basically you just want to send more details, more social proof, and then you can also on day 4, if you want to send a personalized video and have some sort of maybe a no-brainer offer. So one part of your service or something you can provide, which is like a no-brainer, just to get your foot in the door, because at this point they haven't responded for 4 days. So you sort of need to change something a bit radically here, at least to capture their interest for the time being. And then if that doesn't work, you can just follow up with them for the next 90 days. You can create a whole flow for that very easily, and then it just keeps following up with them over time. And then, of course, the goal would be to book the call. So what you can also do here is, again, follow up with them on LinkedIn, which you can do automatically. You can integrate something like Instantly and HeyReach, which is what we do, and then we automatically follow up with leads on LinkedIn. And then you just send a 10-step sequence there. And you can also do the same thing with SMS as well. So you just, again, find their mobile number and then you do a sequence there as well. So again, we're just hitting them from multiple channels. We're not letting them off the hook. And this is one of the most common issues, is letting the prospects off the hook once you've actually captured that interest, and we don't want to have that happen. So yeah, and basically, from here, again, we book the call, we send them to a thank you page, and this thank you page should have very clear instructions. So it should be saying, hey, remember to accept the meeting, watch this like 7-minute explainer video, watch these other, pieces of content that we have. Like the amount of times I talk with companies that are actually quite good and they just don't even have a thank you page. They don't have any like pre-call flow. Anything is insane. So like this is very low hanging fruit to set something like this up. You can also have a detailed FAQ as well in your pre-call flow and on your thank you page. So yeah, and then you can also create like a full welcome flow that's like 90 days, 30 days of just, them receiving emails about your service and FAQs and stuff like that. And then from there, you can just sort of structure the closing process however you normally do, right? So you just discovery, pitch, close if you want to. So yeah, and that is actually going to cover it for basically this system we use here, from the core outreach itself up here down to the whole appointment setting motion, and then booking the call here and optimizing that part of it as well. Now, in terms of how you want to sort of more generally approach cold outreach, we typically do 2-month TAM recycling cycles. So we'll have like the entire TAM mapped out, and then that will basically be just every decision maker within your total addressable market. So let's say you're targeting like plumbers in Texas or something. Like we'll just scrape all of those, and then each of them are going to get a sequence from you every 2 months. And then we just remove people that unsubscribe or that already booked a call, and then you just keep doing that every 2 months. And this is how cold outreach becomes a consistent channel over time, because a lot of people think that you just blast everyone one time. But the thing is, that's not how it works. Because if you look at another distribution channel like Meta ads, for example, what you'll notice is that the same people are just getting the same ads again and again and again, like literally 10 times before they buy. And so why would that be any different on cold email, right? It's the same concept going on. So we just want to retarget people. We typically do like a 3-step sequence, like one email initially, and then another follow-up and another follow-up after that. And then, again, 2 months after the first email, we just go back, we send them a new flow. So that's basically how this system works here. If you want to work with ScaleSprint, if you want to have us implement this entire system within your business, then you can check out the link below to book a meeting with me, and I can see if we're able to help you. So thanks for watching the video, and have a good day.